Elections have consequences, whether it's local, state, or the national election. And we're talking about the Rivers State local government election and the consequences that will follow, the conduct of it, the outcome of it, and governance, and how this affects both the legal and everyday lives of Nigerians, particularly the people of Rivers State. We're joined on the program, as you've seen, by Mr. Jacob Pele, CEO, TAF Africa, and Mr. Victor Giwa, legal practitioner who was on ground to monitor the elections. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the program. I'll begin with Mr. Pele, naturally. Well, very well, thank you. I'll begin with you naturally because you are, well, I call you a son of the soil or a father now on the soil. Whichever way you look at it, this is your home, Rivers State. You've spoken time and again about issues that affect the people of Rivers State and, of course, national and even global issues. But we're zeroing down on this election. How would you describe what just played out in Rivers State on Saturday, August the 30th, and the outcome of it?
Look, Mr. K, good morning, and good morning, Nigerians. It's unfortunate we're living in interesting times, especially politically speaking, and what played out in Rivers State on Saturday can only be described as unprecedented political maneuvering, is sort of a sham, and what looks like a democratic scam. And I say that to buttress that point, I say that everything about this election that held on Saturday was totally illegal, unconstitutional. Everything about the organization of the election was, looked to me, very unprepared. And truly and really, today we can say that democracy has spoken. It did speak loudly but silently because the people silenced the voice of undemocratic people. Very scanty, one of the worst local government election that I've ever seen. The people of Rivers State were smart, were civilized. They thought probably that people would take to the streets, and I did call on the people, especially the good youth of Rivers State, not to fall into their trap. So, Mr. K, in vivid description, this election can only be described as a show of shame. And it's unfortunate that it's happening in Rivers State. Rivers State has become a political sport for struggle of power, for depletion of resources, for denial of the people's rights, for silencing the voice that speaks loudly for the people. And so that's what we got on Saturday. It is an aberration of the constitutional provision. It is absolutely a slap on the people of Rivers State, and we cannot continue the way we are going.
Whew. Those are very weighty words. I imagine you were not around for that election. I don't know if that was also you speaking loudly without speaking at all. But what was said, Mr. Pele, and I want you to speak to this, was that, the political parties came together. In fact, people are calling it collabo. So that the major political parties came together in each of the local government areas and said, okay, for this one, let's have the APC take the ticket. That's why we had 20, APC winners in that sense. And then for the other local government areas, Obiakpo, Port Harcourt, and Onelga, we're told that they agreed that the PDP should have it. So in that sense, do you see that as representative, if you really heard about that as well, the parties coming together and deciding that this is how it should go? Is that representative for you?
Well, I don't know how consensus democracy, a couple of people coming together to say, this is who we want. I don't think that is the reality. The reality is that even those who pretend to be of the other political parties probably were either APC members who were paid to step down or PDP members. Anybody can wear the cassock of a priest. That doesn't make that person a priest. All right. So what we see today was a cassock of, religious gown of many members of APC who are trying to look like members of other political parties. It's not correct to say that there were multiple political parties who participated, but there were hired people who showed their face as members of other parties. And, I don't know how far politicians can go. It's very disheartening, how they can concoct and corner political powers in a very corrupt manner. And so, disregard, your reporters were there in the field. Take, for instance, Opopo in Nkoro, where I come from, Kennedy, I consistently monitor this election, and we have the instrument, the electronic instrument, and people had their phones in their hands and they were sending us video, real time, text messages. I understand, if they're correct, what I'm hearing is correct, that was released in Opopo and Nkoro, is 34,000 plus, votes. For heaven's sake, even the government organ were announcing the fact that this whole election looks deserted. You see people going out with their cameras and they couldn't see people. The ballot boxes were lying whole, fallow. Okay. Nobody was there. And yet you will claim that 34,000 elected, as being specific, that's where I come from, elected
Mr. Pele, if I'm coming.
Chairman.
Yeah.
That's an aberration.
Mr. Pele, let's bring in our guest in Abuja, Mr. Victor Giwa, who was also on ground in Rivers State. Well, politicians will do what politicians do. I really don't like talking about what politicians do. Whether it was a collabo, APC, PDP, they came together. We already know what this is about. It's about political structure at the grassroots, which was actually one of the fights that led to the state of emergency eventually. And now it looks like control has been regained by the people who want to control it. So that is politicians do what politicians do. But we want to stay on the electoral process itself. Mr. Agiwa, you were there on ground. I don't know what you saw. But for me, what is interesting to me, looking at the results of the presidential election of Rivers State, where the president won in APC with about 200,000 votes. The governorship election, the governor won the state with about 300,000 votes. In fact, in Obiakpo, he got about 45,000. The big parties got about maybe less than 70, 100,000 in Obiakpo. But miraculously, Obiakpo churned out 320-something thousand votes in a local government election. I had to listen to the chairman to be sure I heard what I heard. Can you explain to us what is going on here? What did you see?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. Happy New Month to all of you. Firstly, I was not physically on ground, but my other team, were, of course, teammates who were from Port Harcourt were on ground to monitor the election, to observe the election in about 5 local governments: Ohanda East local government, Equity local government, Eleme local government, Port Harcourt City, and one of the local government. As the coordinator of the team, I was getting live reports of what was happening. So physically, I was not there, but my other staff and team members were there, and they were giving us information, and we're collating the facts, to see how, of course, the election would go. But majorly, we had a very serious issue, even attending or observing the election. And the reason is because we have never believed in that election. We have also said in so many fora that the sole administrator does not have the jurisdiction, the power to supervise, coordinate, and conduct the local government election under the Rivers State Electoral Commission, under the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission law of that state. And we have made it very clear. So it was a late decision we took, and that we said, okay, people can just go and observe. So the election, like my friend Jake Kepili said, is more of an arrangement. It's more of an arrangement that was made to bring in, to pacify certain political stakeholders so that they can advance with their objective of capturing the state. And from the report we have, it really confirms that it was just an arrangement. It was like more of an electoral movie, so to speak. And so whatever came out, we were not surprised. We have predicted that that would be what will happen, and that was what we saw.
Interesting. Let me bring it to Mr. Pele. We also try to get at least one of the victors of the election, or those who are in support of the other camp. You know, in Rivers City, there's also the Fubara and Wike camp. But we understand that they will be getting their certificate of return today, so they were not available. So subsequently, we'll maybe have to bring them maybe tomorrow or next to get their conversation. Mr. Pele, as I said, for us, it's about the process. What legal minds are you seeing that is going to play out of this? Because apparently this is going to be tested in court. One is already in court that we can't speak to because the court had said, look, they wanted an ex parte to stop the election, but if you look at the Electoral Act, section 8415, if the election is already in process, no court can, stop that entire machinery from moving on. So to that extent, the judge may have made that decision. But the substantive matter will be heard later on. When you look at the legalese around this, what do you see?
Jeffrey, I tried to pick up what you were saying. I think there were issues with your volume, but I can glean from your question. Truth be told, we are seeing a very strong constitutional crisis that will bring forth so many court cases. People are going to challenge this. Some of them who are claiming victory, when they assume office, I don't know how much they'll be able to do, because they are totally, absolutely rejected by the people. However, we can say that politicians have had their way, but we will continue to have our say, because it's important. A friend of mine said over the weekend, I mean, you've been struggling with this, you've been saying, but nothing has happened, little have not been moved. That's not my issue. My issue is that people must stand up and speak through to power. People must stand up and protect the people that God has given people like us the grace, the influence to speak as their voices. And we will continue to make that sound even at the rooftop. So I don't see much of this outcome of this election having a huge impact on democratic governance of the state, because I've been issued, they've been rejected by the people, and it will be a very Herculean task for them to win the confidence of the people. They are people elected on the platform of a broken promises, a broken system, like my dear friend in the studio reported. It's a state capture. Unfortunately, we have a president that has been ill-advised, and he sort of accepted the advice, and right now is going down in history and in his legacy that Rivers people have been treated very unfairly, very unjustly, and for someone who fought for democracy, and that's the president, someone who sacrificed for democracy, for him to sit at the helm of affairs and watch this play out is very concerning to me. And so forget about the sham election. There was no election. There was a selection of loyalists, a selection of political stooges, a selection of those who wanted to align their pocket with the hard-earned resources of the state.
Mr. Pele, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to take it to Mr. Giwa because I know you have other so that we can wrap this up. Mr. Giwa, let me come to you in just a moment. Well, I want us to really stay on the process as much as possible because politicians will do what politicians do, as distasteful as it may be, but that's where we found ourselves. Sometimes you ask yourself, which really local government in Nigeria has conducted a free, fair, credible election? The Lagos one that just happened, the case is even in court because there's a clear violation of Section 103 of the Electoral Act that says that 30 days between the incumbent and when the incumbent leaves, before the incumbent leaves, is you must conduct election at least 30 days before. But they conducted the election less than that, and they were defending it when there is a clear law guiding the conduct of that election, elections at the local government level. So if you go across Nigeria, local government elections are always shenanigans in that sense, and a shenanigan in that sense. Then the second part is to the fact that, it's about political structure and control, which was the beginning of this fight between Wike and Fubara. And now Mr. Wike apparently has gotten control of that structure. And I don't know what the governor will look like with that lame duck in this situation. But staying with the process itself, isn't it time for us to begin to make a strong case for beavers to be used in local government elections? We're not saying it's going to be perfect, because even with the state and presidential or national election, it doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's something way better than what we see at the local government level. In fact, when I was here on Saturday, following up, there was a gentleman at that particular polling unit where the Honorable Minister voted. Our correspondent got there and asked a simple question: how many registered voters are in this polling unit? The official could not give an answer. That question was asked like twice. Asked whether beavers was used. Of course, beavers is never used in elections. So if an official doesn't even know how many registered voters are there, what are we even talking about? So people can do anything, right? Anything they want to do is free for all. You can't really blame anyone. So what do we do to strengthen local government elections in Nigeria? Not just Rivers State, because it happens everywhere.
Thank you very much. It's what happened in the local governments in most of the states, like you have stated, is just a fluke. It's a charade. It's an arrangement. The governors of states take advantage of the local government to appoint and nominate their friends, their colleagues, their political supporters into the various local government, and they see it as their structure. So what can be done is, one, they need to be a systemic reform of the state laws. Now, the reason why that of Rivers State is particular, is of concern, is that, one, that of Rivers State was presided over by a sole administrator who, under the Rivers State law themselves, the Rivers State law says that the 7 commissioners making up the commission in the state should be appointed by a governor. In that of Rivers State, the sole administrator cannot be stretched to be the governor of a state. So he couldn't have even conducted that election by any means under the law. Section 7 is very clear. Section 5 of the Rivers State law is very clear. So that is the peculiarity about Rivers State. Now, in order for us to have a credible system, I think that Rivers local government elections should be the first election that should be conducted not by the governors. There's nothing wrong in having the Independent Electoral Commission to conduct elections in the local government so that everybody will be interested. Now, I think there needs to be an amendment of Section 197, not such that it is not the Rivers, it's not the state electoral body. It should be the Independent Electoral Body because that of the state is not independent. That to some extent, the INEC, independent electoral body, to some extent, they've shown some level of capability. So let INEC, the body, the national, be the body, conduct all elections in the 774 local governments, and let all the elections be conducted in one day, and let the local government election, which the Supreme Court have said is very vital and fundamental, let it be conducted in one day, so that all eyes, just like in the state and presidential election, all eyes will be in the local government, because that is the state, that is the level of government that is closer to the people. But if you leave the local government to be local government election to be conducted by our governors, what they do is an appointment, is selection, is an arrangement, and they in the name of election. And that is what we have seen almost in every local government, like you have rightly said. So that is the problem. The only way we can have some level of sincerity, some level of transparency, is that INEC should be made to conduct elections in all the 774 local governments. INEC will accredit the observer, because if, for example, INEC is going to conduct the election in my state, Edo State, nobody will come to the INEC headquarters to influence him. Of course, if it will be influenced, it will be a limited influence. The observers will be accredited nationally. So everybody will know that this is a national election, but it is being conducted in the state. So the only way we can take this thing out of the hands of this emperor we have as governors is to make sure that it is the national body that conducts that election, so that all eyes will be in the various states and not just allowing one state to conduct election in total breach of the law. They breach the law they have even made. So, it is so despicable. The conduct of the election is so unconstitutional. And it is not a case of, say, there was an election. It is not, it is an arrangement, and that is what it has always been.
As we wind down now, let me just get Mr. Pele's last thoughts on this, because this has also been tied to the state of emergency. The FCT minister says, well, the coast is now clear for the state of emergency to be lifted, hopefully September the 18th. Is that something you're still big on? Do you still care about that? Is that some silver lining for you amidst all of this, that this state of emergency would likely be lifted before the end of the month?
Well, let's hope so. We heard that from the de facto president of Nigeria, which is the FCT minister, making that headline and giving that breaking news that the emergency will be lifted. That's a good thing to come. Hopefully, the president heard him and will succumb to his proposition that the emergency rule should be lifted on the 18th. That's actually what is constitutional, that the president, after 6 months, will lift the state of emergency. Not only that, but to restore the democratically elected governor. Hopefully that will happen, although this governor will come back as a lame dog, whatever they have put in place to barricade him. Will continue to hunt him throughout the journey up until 2027. And so what they've done was to ensure that they are holding him to the jugular so that he would have very little oxygen to breathe. And so right now he's in their camp. There's nothing anybody can do about that. But the people of the states is my greatest concern. A lot has been done to us. Our resources have been taken. Foreigners, when I mean foreigners, I'm not a tribalist, but people that are not of River State are the ones deciding the fate and the destiny of Rivers people. That's a complete no-no and has failed. Political scientists will tell you that the politics of Nigeria is something that no university will teach you how to postulate. And so this is where we are, Mr. K. Unfortunately so, I thought that, I believe that River State should be a good example of grassroots governance, and right now that is not happening. I think anybody who is honest will agree with me that even the election that Siminalayi conducted under strict measures, there was no security, he had very limited resources, was better organized than this one. And the people came out and voted much more than this particular election. This election is just simply a show of shame. It was more of a political and power grab and power struggle. And this will continue to happen if we cannot put a stop to it.
I think it's only fair to end with this question. It's a rhetorical question, and it is, where are the Rivers people? I guess the coming days will give us an answer.
It's okay, we are here. We are here.
Well,
and hopefully so.
Again, with the coming days will really speak to that, because if this is not the will of the people, but you'd expect that the people would speak out louder, but maybe they're choosing to tow a much more matured path of peace and justice. We'll see how that plays out yet again. But Mr. J.K. Pele, we have to thank you so much. What we're watching play out in River State will definitely impact on 2027 elections. So we'll be here to see. Mr. J.K. Pele, CEO TAF Africa, joins us virtually, as well as Mr. Victor Giwa, legal practitioner, who we now understand he monitored the election virtually now. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Victor Giwa. I wish you the very best.